So today is part 12 of the ongoing Silent Hill 2 Remake Cam Hack series. And we are now in Otherworld Brookhaven. Hopefully everything... We had some issues at the end of last stream with our internet. We do have some bad weather kind of intermittently rolling through our area, so just like in Silent Hill, you can hear the rain falling outside. The wind is blowing, the rain is falling. In fact, let's look out this window a bit. You can see the stars. Even though they are a static texture that exists just sort of on the outside of the building. But we do have some interesting things. Hopefully, like I said, the internet holds out. Last time we left off, Maria is no longer walking around with us. She starts feeling ill. She starts having similar symptoms to when Mary first got sick. Coughing and weakness, having to lay down. And there's actually something down here since last time we came down from the third floor back down to the first floor via the elevator. After Maria started feeling sick, for the most part, everything down here looks kind of the same. But there is a particular detail that I mentioned last stream that I want to point out this time. There it is. So we stopped and looked at this painting, this picture, rather, of the entrance of Brookhaven Hospital. And it's got a bunch of nurses who are all semi-transparent. But if you look up by the door of Brookhaven Hospital, there is a new person there who was not there before this shift to the Otherworld version of Brookhaven. Mary herself is now standing behind all of these nurses in front of the entrance to Brookhaven. So this picture literally changes once everything goes to the other world. And Mary is now visible in the picture. Really subtle, really great detail. And yeah, I'm pretty sure even these other photos and things like that, like these don't appear to change from how they looked previously. But just to be sure, excuse me, how are we in the other world? I thought we were in the fog world now. I mean, I guess technically we are in fog world still, because we do get a more distinctive change to the other world. So you are right. Let me kind of correct my terminology there. It's no longer daytime, but it is technically still the fog world. You are right, Warlock. It's raining and it's dark. So we've had a shift in environment, but not a full shift to the other world, where everything is rusted and reality starts peeling away. We're not in true otherworld yet, so you are correct. I take back my my mistake in terminology. You'll have to forgive me. My personal brain fog is pretty bad today. I had a pretty severe panic attack Sunday morning, and I'm still not fully recovered. So, apologies. My mind's not quite there yet. Yeah, a lot of the posters, pictures, things like that in the environment, all of this is still the same. I like how just this one picture changes to include Mary. Out of all the assets and everything down here. Kuma asks, do you ever play any Silent Hill games off stream, not recording, just for fun, like for your own enjoyment? It's been a pretty long time since the last time I did that. I still play a lot of Silent Hill off stream, but it's usually with a goal in mind. Like lately I've been playing a lot, like multiple playthroughs of Silent Hill 1 that have all been off stream because I'm recording footage for the Silent Hill 1 iceberg that I'm currently working on. So that's required, like playing through the North American version, the PAL region, the Japanese region, to talk about some differences between them. Next Fear to show some New Game Plus content. But yeah, I still play a lot of Silent Hill when I'm not streaming, but it's usually for a purpose. It's for like a video that I'm working on or something that I'm researching, that I'm checking the validity of, that kind of thing. Really wish they did have a photo mode so players had a chance to discover some of the more subtle details without having to download an extra mod. I agree. I definitely agree. A built-in photo mode for this game would be really, really nice. Especially because it has become a much more kind of common feature for so many games, a lot of modern games. For example, I was recently playing and finished the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Part 2 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I was doing similar things with the photo mode in that game, because there's a lot of cool details and really neat stuff. That you can get out of that photo mode. Same thing with stuff like Death Stranding, another game that I really, really love, that did not have a photo mode initially, and then they added it later as an update. So maybe at some point we will get a an update to this game with a proper photo mode. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know how much Bloober Team really wants to continue putting towards this game. I know they're working on many other projects at the moment. They were working on Chronos: The New Dawn, their new original title, which is going to be coming out relatively soon, I think. And they've got a bunch of other unannounced projects that are in production. So I know a lot of fans are still really hoping for Born from a Wish DLC and stability updates, optimizations, maybe even additional features like photo mode. It would be really nice to get that stuff. But as is tradition, anything that Konami and Bloober Team or the developers like don't do for their games and their community, the Silent Hill fan base is very, very dedicated. The Silent Hill fan base is like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Turned up to level 10. Like, the fans fix everything. The fans made, Konami made their horrible HD collection. Fans were like, no, this is not acceptable. And made the enhanced edition for Silent Hill 2. All the mods and graphical upgrades and stability for all the original games to work on emulators and PC. There's stability mods and fixes for this game. Of course, no photo mode, but again, fans make the camera mods and stuff like what I'm using now, so fans absolutely for the Silent Hill series, like, if we don't get something officially, there's a decent chance that fans will be the ones to make it anyway. Very, very dedicated fan base for this series. I'm happy to consider myself a part of it. Because my experience with this fan base goes way, way back. Back before there was really much of a fan base. Some forums, old internet forums, and game guide, like game fact posts and things like that. Around like 99, 2000, after the first game started. Let's try finding this painting. That looks fairly similar, but not exact. Cape Town artist Paula Church. Looks very similar to Paula Church's work. She's got some paintings that are very, very similar to this, but it might not be the same one that I'm finding. You can see there's even a person walking along the path there between these very tall, thin trees. Can be difficult to tell sometimes. Some of these are Bloober Team originals, but a lot of them are paintings and things that actually exist that Bloober Team just took and used as a texture or slightly edited. Old wiki forums, oh no. I mean, this is before wikis were even a thing. Like, I'm talking about, yeah, early, like, the old BBSs, the bulletin board systems, and super early internet forums, gaming forums for Silent Hill fan discussion when the fandom, like, very first formed, essentially. People making up rumors, talking out of their asses about ambulance endings for Silent Hill 1 and random stuff like that. It was still basically just like schoolyard discussions about games, just sort of taken to those early internet forums, the early years of the fandom. Let the game world play. Just want a nice shot of this window. I will say, for as much visual detail as there is in this game, there's a lot of audio detail that was in the original that the remake is lacking. The original Silent Hill 2 had like hundreds of distinct footstep sounds depending on what texture you were walking on. If you were walking on different kinds of tile, wooden floors, dirt, grass, water, wet floors, carpet, and broken glass, you would get distinctive, like, crunchy, broken glass sounds walking over things like that on the floor in the original Silent Hill 2. A lot of those little subtle audio details are sadly missing. I'm shooting out all the mirrors and glass, just in case there's anything hidden. Since we found a hidden painting behind one broken thing of glass, justifies having to check all of it. Same sort of posters that we've seen. Anxiety, find peace and happiness with the puppy. Bunch of random numbers on that bottle. Some of these sort of generic labels, placeholder text type of things. But again, we found an Easter egg on Eddie's ice cream hidden in the nutrition facts label. So even looking at the fine print and little text on all of these labels and stuff is worth doing. So you never know where you're going to find something. Painting just looks like a bunch of scribbles, scratches, hatching and cross-hatching. Save it just in case our game decides to crash out. Sometimes we go clipping out of bounds and sequence breaking. Ooh, look at the red glow of the window from outside. Yeah, just in case any of our clipping around breaks anything. Try to remember to save when I can. Similar to the apartment mattresses, it's not as defined in this one here, but these sort of vaguely human-shaped stains on the beds. Very eerie. Nothing rendered in C4. Take care of what matters most, leave the rest to us. Toluca Palliative Care Center. Stuff very relevant to James's mind, his memories. Woman lying in a sickbed, very much like Mary would have. All the nurses have their faces scratched out, kind of foreshadowing the bubblehead nurse creatures. All these things thematically appropriate to James's memories. And then the room where Maria herself comes in to lie down. Inside a drawer, we've got a medicine bottle. Very glowy pills. Can't even open that. Take a look over Maria's model. Now that she's laying here, let's actually let the game world play, kind of see her animations. The sort of eyelid fluttering, one eye closing more than the other. I get that. I definitely understand that feeling, dealing with panic attacks and a lot of the physical aspects that come along with it. Having been dealing with things similar myself, I definitely understand this. Been having issues lately with laying down. My heart rate will level off to like a normal rate, and then I'll lay down and it'll just randomly spike to like over 100 when I'm trying to rest. Usually happens for a week or so after I've had a bad panic attack before it sort of goes away. Look at her nails. Yeah. Still got the nails done. Still got these little details where they're sort of chipped on the very ends. Her sigil of Lilith still on her bracelet. Little mole on her neck. Nice little detail. One of those types of things that Takayoshi Sato talks about in the making of Silent Hill 2 documentary. Not this specifically, but imperfections to make characters seem more realistic. They specifically modeled Maria and all of the characters in the original Silent Hill 2 to have imperfections, just to make them seem more real. And Bloober kind of kept that design philosophy in mind, it seems. See if we can get a better look at this pill bottle. Of course, it's very blurred texture that we can't really make out, but we can definitely see white is part of that label there, the word white. Possibly a reference to White Claudia, which is from Silent Hill 1, was a flower that grows specifically around Silent Hill and is used in the creation of a drug called PTV with hallucinogenic properties. Very interesting detail to just kind of have hidden away in a drawer here that you don't even interact with normally. Painting that's been ripped away, but we can still see the artist signature. Which we've seen some other artwork from that same artist earlier in the game. Rainish says there's a post on the Silent Hill subreddit that unblurs the label in case you haven't seen it. Really interesting. I have seen it. Let me pull up my notes so that we can kind of compare that information to what we can see. Yeah, and I believe later we get another more clear view of the bottle and the pills. Not of the label itself, but sitting out in the open rather than hiding in a drawer like this one. Yeah, I can't even really clip in to the side of the drawer here to see it that clearly. But if we look at the unblurred version of this label, let me see if I can bring it up on OBS as well. I've got it pulled up on my phone. But presumably you all want to see it too. That's the label that is unblurred. So you can see the prescription is for Mary Sunderland. So even the label on the pill bottle itself, it's not Maria's, it is Mary's medication. And we can get some extra dialogue from Maria until this point where she just rolls over onto her side. Quit shining that damn light in my face. Let the game world play. See if there's anything unique from this perspective. Don't normally get to see her face or anything once she like rolls over, turns over. Curious if maybe she keeps opening her eyes or anything like that. Doesn't look like it. I'm not looking, Maria, I swear. Oh, we're looking. We're looking respectfully for the purposes of research and science. Does interacting with Maria when she isn't in follow mode affect your ending? Yes. Basically, any optional interactions or even just staying near Maria will potentially contribute towards the Maria ending. But for this playthrough, I'm not really too concerned with what ending we're getting. It's not that kind of playthrough. Not really worried about that. Just want to go through slowly, take my time, look at all the details. And whatever ending we get is what we'll get. Yeah, we got the bedpans and stuff in here. More medicine bottles laying around in the sink. Detoxidine, which we've seen in some other spots, environments and things already. And look, she doesn't even react to me breaking stuff anymore. Especially right now. Now, where's that girl? Where did Laura get off to? Spectrum. Eventually we'll make our way in there. Look at stuff a little bit closer. But for now, we've got our first new enemy in a while. Let's let this play, actually. The Bubblehead Nurse. And Masahiro Ito, original creature designer, helped redesign the Bubblehead Nurses for this game. Got that classic Jacob's Ladder inspired head shake. Got some more paintings. Let's try and reverse image search this one. It's a Francisco Goya painting. The Witch's Flight. Yeah. So it's been heavily edited. But let me... Whoops. pull this up for comparison. So there's the original Goya painting. You can see how much it's been edited. Very creepy with just the dark background. All the background characters, the witches flying above, have all been edited out. Somebody pointed this. We've seen these textures of the like ripped up paper before in a few different places. Somebody pointed out it looks like it says nub. Maybe they've maybe Bloober Team's familiar with my work. Maybe it's a reference. Wouldn't be the first time. I mean, it would be the first time I'm acknowledged in a game, but not the first time that Silent Hill developers were aware of me, I guess. We had some of the people on Silent Hill Ascension's production team following my videos when I was watching Silent Hill Ascension live. Who also commented and stuff on some of my YouTube videos. We've had Team Silent members like Hiroko Usuda, environment artist for Silent Hill 3 and 4, watching some of our previous parts of this playthrough. She also watched some of my cam hack playthrough of Silent Hill 3 back when I did that. So Bloober Team might be aware of me. Although I think it's just scraps of paper. It just happens to look similar to the word nub. Let's get a better look at the nurse here. Some details with the character model that were part of the original game that are much more noticeable now. They have these sort of weird small noses and mouths, kind of reminiscent of an infant's face. Some of these details that Ito had as part of his original design that just didn't really come through the PS2 models as clearly. They also have these red squares, which in the original Silent Hill 2, these were just sort of floating textures. But here you can see there's actually sort of like a mouthpiece. Something that they're like physically holding in their mouth. The heads themselves sort of looking like transparent. Similar to like the latex gloves. Very similar, in fact. Especially to the ones like Pyramid Head was wearing, even. You have a name? No name on the name tag. These belts, these little chokers going around their necks. And the skin, you can see, is like a different texture than this. Like something pulled over their head. And Masahiro Ito has said on Twitter in the past that the original nurse design was meant to look like a condom, like a latex condom pulled over their heads. So now we have that kind of imagery even further replicated, showing that it's like something strapped onto their head. In the back of the head, you can see like what looks like a fetus. Sort of a baby shape. Which was actually a detail. Not a whole lot of very nice things that I have to say about Silent Hill Homecoming, but Silent Hill Homecoming's nurse design had some really interesting details, not too dissimilar, where if you had a light source behind the stomach of the nurses in Homecoming, you could see the outline of a baby or a fetus inside their womb. Nubzombie, could you please repeat what you mentioned about the Ascension team commenting on your vids? Yeah, one of the producers. One of the producers for Silent Hill Ascension was watching my YouTube uploads when I was going through and watching Silent Hill Ascension live. They had commented under a few of those videos, and then later they had to delete them. I don't know if maybe he got into some sort of trouble or anything like that, but because he had also done an interview with a different YouTuber that got taken down and had to be re-uploaded like months later. So I don't know if he might have gotten into some trouble talking about things or commenting on things when he wasn't supposed to, but yeah, we actually had people who worked on Ascension watching my channel when Ascension was live. Do you remember what his comments were? You'll have to go back into my Discord and go through the Silent Hill Ascension channel and dig for all that. I unfortunately don't remember off the top of my head. The one comment that I do remember is he was talking shit about the segments during Ascension where they had a few of the developers sort of commentating on stuff before and after that day's scene would play out. And he commented that the quality of those segments was so bad that it was not professional looking to him, and that it looked like something a freshman year AV club would do rather than what was supposed to be like this big professional production. So even that particular producer was unimpressed with some of the things going on with Silent Hill Ascension. And that's why I'm assuming he probably had to go back and delete his comments and remove his interview and with another YouTuber and stuff like that. Oh, the gloves. Even the gloves are fused together very much like pyramid heads. All the gross stains and everything. The rips and tears in the stockings. You can see all the threading and stuff coming out. Heels themselves. Very similar to the way the feet on some of the lying figures look. What's in her mouth? Is that like a name tag? Did everybody just get here late and start asking about things we just finished talking about? It's not a name tag. It's a red square. It was originally a floating texture in the OG Silent Hill 2. For the remake, they have like a little thing, mouthpiece that they're biting on. Sorry, I'm not going to repeat myself a whole lot. We're already going through this at such a slow pace. If you miss something, I'm just going to start saying watch the VOD. There's also some details about the nurses that I can't even really show or talk about. I mean, I guess technically I could, but I risk being banned on Twitch and demonetized on YouTube. So I'll just try to describe it without actually showing it. So when this game first released, these character models for the nurses had a fully rendered female body parts. Like, they were textured so that you could tell what was under their skirts. And in an update to this game, one of the times where they patched it, they actually changed the character model to make it less detailed. Like I said, I can't really show that on YouTube. It's out there on the internet if you want to look it up for yourself. Comparison images of what they changed. But, yeah. Bloober Team Wild. My Maniac. Thank you so much for gifting a sub to Beat the Devil. Thank you, thank you. And we got some more medical books. Looks like a lot of the same book textures and things that we've seen. But still worth checking. More of these edited pieces of artwork. These ones that are more abstract, I imagine, are going to be a little bit harder to try to reverse image search, but I'm still going to try. Yeah, there's a lot of results. It could be The Signal by Laura Cron. It could be Dazzling Water by Pat Steer. There's lots of this type of artwork out there. And because it's been modified by Bloober Team, it's going to be kind of hard to narrow a lot of that down. More Sean cigarettes. Photo of the children playing the game where they pass the ball over their heads. Stuff that we've seen in other places. Tassadul said painting looks like one of Peter Balk. I mean, since we've already seen other Peter Balk artwork, that would not be too surprising. Let's see, these trees in snow. Again, so many very similar nature paintings. More than what I'm willing to sift through right now. Bloody stains, slashed up couch. Lying figure. A couple of lying figures spawned in. Mannequin hiding back here. All these enemies. We just clipped the camera in here when we were in the hallway. And this room was empty. All these things just now spawning in. Like the little blood streaks and stuff on the ground. Oh, and it just faded away. Little environmental details as the lying figures crawl around. Same Visitoris to our Visitoris. Same thing we've seen. Don't let alcohol shatter your life. Find peace and happiness. Formaldehyde solution. Commonly used in the embalming process. If I'm not mistaken. Packaged syringe. I think it's funny how James will not pick up these, like, sealed, clean syringes, but he'll pick up the rusted, gross ones and jab them into himself. Nadir, 1980. Set to channel 72. Low res label on the back, can't quite read it. Please do not leave any personal belongings. More formaldehyde. That one just says Spectrum. Standard. Agiter something. FLI or FIL something. Fluid. Standard something fluid. Arterial? Second letter after A doesn't really look like an R to me. The last letter there in the sequence looks like it's an R, maybe an H. Second letter looks like a G. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. Is that fucking Comic Sans? It doesn't quite look like Comic Sans. If that second letter is a G, it's similar to the stylized G in Comic Sans, but the rest of the lettering doesn't really look that way to me. shoot the TV just because we can. Old sweaters. Some garments that are moth-eaten. Just like the Book of Job, like the writing in the bathroom, in the observation area at the start of the game. Maybe a bit of a stretch. Standard arterial fluid used in embalming. I mean, considering we also saw the formaldehyde, but it doesn't look like arterial to me. My brain does not register the letters after A being R. Especially if it is arterial. Because the last letter that's sort of visible right there, to me, looks like an R. I mean, it is a very low definition thing. Even this, where it says fluid, the U sort of blurs into the I. The L blurs into the I. So. I'm sure that's what it's supposed to be. The text is just hard to read as such. Some more stuff in a drawer that we can't open. That little electric schematic type thing. Cardboard box. White jacket just kind of tucked over here underneath this bed. All the withering plants. Hey, Nero Blanca. Welcome. Get just a little bit of creepy audio coming through the intercom there. All the lights and stuff going off. FM comm. Oxidine. More stuff that we've seen. Props that we've seen already. Sample cups. Storage boxes. Towels. Surprisingly clean looking towels for everything else around here. We've got our classic environment prop, the box of cookie. Chocolate chip cookie mix makes 12 cookies. And macchia tea. Same labels and things that we've seen on the other filing cabinets. And these images, these are like actual historical medical photos that have been edited, that were found, or they're public domain essentially. Let me see if I can find some of these to show for comparison. But these are taken from, I believe, the Library of Congress. The first old-timey medical VR. So the device that's on the patient's head, that like plastic or black reflective cone, is part that's edited. That's edited on there to block the patient's face, sort of like the instrument and stuff that's blocking the two people in the back. In the original photo, you can see all these people's faces, and obviously Bloober didn't want to do that, even if it's a public domain photo. They try to remove, like, or distort or blur or obscure people's faces. But let me see if I can find some of these. Give me one moment to pull up resources here to show you on stream. Here we go. So there's the actual photo. So it's a public domain photo taken from the Library of Congress, an actual historical, like, medical photograph, compared to the in-game edit. So we'll try and do like a side by side here. So yeah, originally you could see, you know, the doctor and the nurse in the background and the patient's face. And they just went through and edited to kind of obscure those elements and aspects. I believe some of these other ones we have the source for as well. Blurred out woman. Let's see, not her. But let me grab these screenshots of the ones that have been found just so that I can pull them up as we come across those. By the way, the title of the first one that we looked at, this one here, the real world version of that is called Dr. Blake's Hospital Radiography from 1914. So that's this one. Was this one of them? Sorry, I know I'm pausing and looking stuff up a bit more than usual, but here we go. Here's the real life version of that. You can see again how much Bloober takes these sort of public domain photos and historical photos and paintings and things like that, and then just edits them into these different assets. Makes it creepy, but, you know, authentic. Gives it a feeling of realism. Using something that is actually real, just modified to be a little creepier. A bit irrelevant to the topic at hand, but wasn't there an interview where one of the devs mentioned that the fog world has a weird link to dreams? I mean, yeah, and a lot of that itself stems from kind of David Lynch, for the original games being his movies and things like Twin Peaks, which are often very heavily influenced by things that are dreamlike or aspects of the subconscious that Team Silent utilized in a lot of their imagery. There are lots of references to dreams, things being like a dream, even going all the way back to Silent Hill 1 dialogue. You have Harry Mason. This is not a dream. What is happening to this place? In this game, in Heaven's Night, there's a glowing neon sign that says Dream in Heaven's Night. Yeah, Harry Mason saying, is this another dream? Did I black out again? Even without developers, any of the devs commenting on it, it's directly in the game dialogue itself. The town is projecting people's subconscious into their environment around them. And what better visual equivalent of the subconscious do we experience as people other than dreams? Like, that I feel like it kind of goes without saying. There's another one. Grab the source for this real quick. Again, Bloober's sort of edited version on the left in-game compared to the actual image. Can even do a little fade effect for you. Adana, welcome back. Thank you so much for the 9 months. Much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Listen, Alessa just liked bugs in children's stories. She did nothing wrong. She literally did nothing wrong. She's not evil. She's not a bad person. She's not... It's one of the things that upsets me a lot about the movie. A lot of people sort of think about these games and the characters and stuff in the context of what the movie wound up portraying them as. Even some of the games like Origins, Silent Hill Origins, has elements of the like, Alessa is this evil little girl type of thing. She literally did not do anything wrong. She's doing everything she can to try to stop the other world, to stop her mother, to stop the ritual. Even if it means sacrificing herself. She just wants a peaceful death. Also a bit of a pet peeve, but her name is Alessa. So many people misspell it as Alyssa, A-L-Y. It's Alessa, A-L-E. Her drawings. Another one of our photos for the 2 decades Easter egg. Radiology books. More stuff that we've seen. Repeated around already. Some storage bins in some of the drawers there. Had never heard the name Alessa until Silent Hill. I mean, that's fair. It's... Neither had I, and it's a fairly uncommon name. And Alyssa is probably the closest. It's why people make that mistake so often. But it's a more common name than Alessa. Let's see, I don't think I had the source on this image. Yeah. All these really creepy photos and stuff. They're real photos, actual historical medical photos from like the 1910s. Just slightly edited by Bloober Team. Man, we've already spent so long looking at just like one room, one hallway. Sorry, that's kind of how it goes. That's how these streams are meant to be. Always get the feeling the Silent Hill movie was released around the height of the Ring remake. Kind of jumped on the bandwagon of creepy girls with an evil side. I mean, it's a common trope dating back in horror for quite a long time. And the thing is, a lot of fans, even just taking Silent Hill 1, like, out of context, you have Dahlia feeding you misinformation, telling you that it's a demon taking that child's form, trying to say that Alessa, as you see her, as you perceive her, is something evil, that the Seal of Metatron is something bad, it's actually the Mark of Samael. And I think a lot of players, a lot of people who played Silent Hill 1 fundamentally misunderstood a lot of the plot because they took everything at face value instead of realizing that these characters are lying to you. They're lying to Harry. They're not telling you the truth. And I think Christoph Gans, who made the first Silent Hill movie, is legitimately a fan of these games and played them. But I also think he fundamentally understood that, as a lot of other fans did. So it caused those sort of incorrect interpretations to become part of the movie. And then the movies, just in general, movies are more popular than games. More people see movies than people play video games, especially back then. It's a lot closer in terms of audience now. Like these days, gaming is much more mainstream than it used to be, but more people see movies than play games. So more people are familiar with the film adaptation than being, familiar enough with the game's plot and characters and everything to even realize or understand that they're different, very drastically different. The code has been reset to what we agreed on during yesterday's meeting in the doctor's lounge. Like I said, I don't want anyone writing it down on little pieces of paper for me to find. Be responsible, people. I like that. The idea that hospital staff, the head nurse or whoever, is getting tired of people just writing the codes down on little bits of paper and leaving them around. Very meta. Very meta joke about always finding notes with codes and clues written on them in these types of games. Temporal Fry. I'm not particularly bothered by the misinterpretations in the films. They're definitely inspired by the games. Can accept them as reimaginings, almost like Shattered Memories, with same name, characters, different version of the story, even if they're kind of meh overall. No. My problem is not with the interpretation. Gans can have his own interpretation and make a movie about it. That doesn't bother me one bit. What bothers me is when people who are only vaguely familiar or not familiar at all with the games use the adaptation to fuel how they think about or interpret the games and assume that they are the same thing, which leads to a lot of misinformation. It leads to a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding and spreading of misinformation. There's a reason why there's so many people who claim that the Silent Hill games were inspired by things like Centralia, when they clearly weren't. The original developers have gone on record, Masahiro Ito has gone on record saying they weren't even aware of things like Centralia until years after the original games were made. That was something that was strictly for the film adaptation. That was Roger Avery and Christoph Gans. But there is still to this day hundreds, and I literally mean hundreds, because I was going to make a YouTube video about this and I was doing a lot of research about it. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTubers out there with Silent Hill fun facts and video game trivia and blah blah blah, where they talk about the Silent Hill games being influenced or inspired by Centralia, or Alessa being evil, or, all of these misconceptions. Pyramid Head being tied to Alessa, even though he wasn't even in the first game. That kind of stuff. And it persists still to this day because of people who are just either too lazy or too unwilling, content creators who just don't care about information being accurate. So that's the aspect that bothers me, not the film adaptation itself. The way people use it as a reference to things that are unrelated. J-Rock, what's up, man? Thank you so much for the raid. Let me get a shout out here for J-Rock the God. Dude is amazing. One of my favorite streamers and cat dads. Thank you so much. I'm just ranting about misinformation in video games while we do this cam-hacked playthrough of Silent Hill 2 Remake. But welcome. For anybody who's new here, I'm Nub Zombie. I'm a huge horror and Silent Hill fan. And we are currently in the midst, this is part 12 of an ongoing series where I have a mod that lets me use a free cam in Silent Hill 2 Remake. And we're looking at all the little details in these games up close. Every little tiny detail in the environment, everything out of bounds, all the times the character models change, all the enemies, everything. We're looking at everything super close to learn all these little details, find all these hidden Easter eggs, of which we've found many so far. But yeah, welcome everybody. With how the internet is nowadays, I wonder how many of those sort of factually incorrect videos are made by people genuinely ignorant on the subject matter, and how many are intentionally incorrect, intended as clickbait, trolling, or whatever. I mean, it's a pretty solid mix of both. Because, yeah, there is definitely people who make things that are wrong, factually incorrect on purpose, like you said, just to try to clickbait. Because YouTube doesn't care. YouTube does not care if people are negatively engaging with your video, and if you get hundreds of comments saying you're wrong, this is... and correcting you, they just care that your video's getting engagement of any kind, because that means people are watching it and they can make money sticking ads on it. So as opposed to my videos with their relatively low view count and highly accurate information. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I gotta start being wrong more. Good little flashback moment here. Memory of the past. The typewriter. "2025 goals, be wrong about things." I mean, the last part of this series, so the last stream, we found a link that works, like a website link, and a QR code that works, hidden in the environment details. And when I made the thumbnail, I like had to put this little part of the thumbnail. I put text on the thumbnail with like a little arrow pointing to the QR code, like, this QR code actually works. And I felt so fucking stupid adding that into the thumbnail. And I really struggled with myself, like, should I actually even use this? And I was hoping, like, hey, maybe more people will click on it. More people will look at it and try to scan the QR code, see what happens. There's an arrow pointing at a thing. Maybe it'll get more engagement. And even something relatively mundane like that, I feel so dumb whenever I have to do that kind of thing. Did you put your smiling face next to the arrow? Like 80% of my audience has never seen my face. They wouldn't even know what they were looking at if I was sitting there doing like a Mr. Beast smile or something. Why is John Romero, the creator of Doom, on this thumbnail? People would just be confused. Stazen, saw your face when you shaved your head for the charity. But see, that was so long ago at this point. A lot of people weren't aware of me back then. Like obviously the OGs will know. If you've been following for that long, then you'll know what I look like, but a lot of people started following me after the like Silent Hill 2 iceberg, and I haven't really used Facecam or anything like that hardly at all since then. So for a lot of people who are in my audience now, they're just unfamiliar with what I look like. So even putting my face and stuff in the thumbnails wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm not typically a face cam streamer. Again, it's not like I hide it. I've done face cam streams before. I've been to games done quick. So like if you just look up my name, you'll find it. You'll find me. I've been to TwitchCon and met a bunch of people in person. A bunch of fans and other streamers and stuff in person. Sorry, I'm distracted by this note. So we've got the flashback to the typewriter. In the original Silent Hill 2, you had to get some codes to open up a box that belonged to one of the patients, Joseph Barkin. And one of them was on this typewriter. Ugh. Wish this camera was a little bit finer in terms of control. Just like barely tap a button and the camera goes flying. Just want to take a screenshot of this. Put that there. And flip it. Yeah, that is the OG Silent Hill 2 note. I know it. The secret. The demon. No one can stop me. No one can stop me. No one can stop. No, no. There at the end. Yeah, that is the typewriter message from the original Silent Hill 2. I figured that would be the case, but I wanted to get a good shot of it and flip it just to verify that. Cool detail. Little callbacks to the OG. Hey, Meep. Hope you're doing well tonight. John Warswick, formerly DJ Bobby Ricks. Good to see you. Much love. Hope you're doing well. Everybody changing their names on Twitch. Making me confused. Not like Ram Ranch Survivor 69. Powerful, memorable screen name that never gets changed. Oof. Shooting out all the glass just to make sure there's no images or paintings, photos, things hidden behind them. We've already seen a case of that. Sweater sitting in the locker. Why does this sweater have, like, nipple dents? Permanently stuck into it. It's cold in Maine. True. True. It's been a lot of years since I went to Maine, but I was in Maine in Freeport in the middle of January for my sister's graduation many years back. And it was, I mean, feet of snow on the ground. And very cold. And remember, I'm from Texas, so like that type of cold and snow and everything is completely unfamiliar to me. Snow is exceptionally rare in Texas. That level of cold is pretty rare. Definitely took some getting used to being in Maine in the middle of winter. But I had a really good time there. Freeport, and I gotta say, that was my closest thing to like a real life Silent Hill experience. Being in Freeport, Maine in the middle of winter. It's very cold. There's very few people out. And I would put my headphones on and just walk around the town with Silent Hill music playing. They have a big old creepy hotel, the Harasikit Inn. Shoutouts to the Harasikit. But yeah. Very Silent Hill vibes. Anyone know that song? All My Exes Live in Texas? Yep. Everybody from Texas or Tennessee hates that song. Just so you know. Hate that shit. Alright, that loops back out to this hallway. So now, let's check out the director's office. Towels and like a robe hanging up. No animation on the actual player? Kind of surprising. Was that Jigsaw? Japanese Jigsaw. It's funny, the hospital director in the English dub as well really does sound like Jigsaw. I think I even made the same joke on one of my previous playthroughs. But little interesting bit of trivia about the hospital director. We've mentioned this before, but the voice actor for the hospital Brookhaven's director is the same voice actor as James in all languages. So if you're playing in English, Luke Roberts plays James. It's also Luke Roberts voicing the Brookhaven director. We're on the Japanese dub. I always forget the Japanese actor's name. 1 second. Chikahiro Kobayashi. So Kobayashi, who voices James Sunderland, is also voicing the Brookhaven director there. What was the going theory on the meaning behind him voicing the director? Does it say anything about James character-wise? So this is one of those things where I think some Silent Hill fans are reading things too literally, because you have some fans like Rachel Ashman popularized one of these theories through her Twitter posts and Reddit posts and things like that, that the director is literally James, that James was the Brookhaven director, kind of The Shining, Jack Torrance, you've always been the caretaker type of thing. Or that he was a mental patient in the hospital who was abused by the hospital director. I don't read things that way personally. Everything that you're coming across in the town, your perspective as the player is seeing everything through James's eyes. But sometimes you're seeing things beyond even what James is seeing, like the same way James doesn't react to seeing the corpses that look just like him. He never acknowledges it. Presumably, we are seeing something that James himself is maybe not necessarily perceiving. But everything is coming from his subconscious, for the most part. Except for situations where it's deliberately like something referencing Eddie, or Angela, or Laura, or Mary. A lot of those can be coming from other sources, but for the most part, what you're seeing and experiencing is being painted. Reality, the way James is perceiving it, is being painted by his own subconscious. It's affecting how he sees reality, how he perceives things. It's his own subconscious sort of talking to him in a way. The notes that have things that are parallels to him or Mary or illness, or, when it's something about guilt, when it's something about telling the truth, when it's something about killing. It's all just aspects of James and his mind, the town, the spiritual power, taking those things from his subconscious and using them to create something in the environment. In this case, the Brookhaven director talking about healing these patients. Now, whatever parallels you want to try to draw between those patients and the other characters, which was a thing in the original game. You had patients with symptoms that were clear parallels to James and Angela and Eddie, but I don't think that's meant to mean that they were literally Brookhaven patients, especially when people like James and Eddie Eddie'd never been to Silent Hill before. James has only been here once before on vacation. He didn't live here. They weren't patients here. Same goes for Mary. So these are just parts of James's subconscious being taken to create something in the environment. Sometimes for the lore sort of in-game purpose of trying to make James come to terms with reality and break free from his delusion, realize things about the truth rather than this sort of false reality that he's perceiving. Sometimes it's just gameplay for the sake of the player, so that you can draw connections to the story and what's going on, or maybe get some inference and hints towards some of the upcoming puzzles. But the idea of a doctor trying to heal a patient and being unsuccessful is just, at its most basic and blunt parallel, Mary. Mary getting sick and not being able to be healed. Something that James was frustrated by. Something that was conveyed a little bit more clearly in the original compared to the remake. You find medical books in the hotel library in the original Silent Hill 2. And when you examine them, James says, like, I've already read a bunch of medical books. They didn't help. Mary still died. Like, she still succumbed to her illness. He is aware of, like, the hospitals and the doctors trying and being unsuccessful. So some of that aspect sort of pulls through. Yeah, the voice clip of James talking to Mary's doctor, saying, you're a doctor. It's your job to help her. And the doctor being like, I'm sorry, you know, the most we can do is kind of tell you how long she's got. But James was frustrated. And that is part of his subconscious. The town is drawing off of that subconscious and creating elements in the environment for James or for the player to be aware of. It's not, in my opinion, meant to be read literally. That he was literally the director or a patient here or anything like that. That cassette tape hits hard. It does. It's such a shame they didn't include that audio in the remake. Here we can see the rooftop key and the director's letter are actually in here, rendered long before we can even open this. Sorry. Ooh, why did that break the OBS capture? There we go. F12 is the screenshot button on Steam, but it is also the button to, like, fix the camera controls whenever they stop working for the free cam mod. Okay, same Nolan Eigenberg, San Francisco, May 1985. Same certificates and certifications that we saw in the lobby when you first enter Brookhaven. Can only imagine why they didn't add the cassette tape in from the original. It adds so much to James in his hopeless position. Yeah, I really have no idea why that audio was excluded from the remake, why it was omitted. Because you find the tape recorder. There's, in the hotel, you have a memory of the past, like, examinable flashback in the environment. You can examine it, but you can't listen to it. It doesn't play the audio or anything. So yeah, I'm not sure why that scene was sort of cut. Especially when it would have been so easy to include it as part of that memory of the past. It's because they didn't have someone cast to be Walter Sullivan yet. Yeah. For those who don't know, it's Dennis Fault, who is the voice of Mary's doctor in that scene in the original Silent Hill 2, who also is the voice of Walter Sullivan in Silent Hill 4. And then our notes for our 3 patients. Evaluation card, patient number 0130. Patient number 0130, designation 295.3. Was in room number S3, scratched out, moved to L1. Initial symptoms, intense and unrelenting anxiety. Hey, I know all about that. Current diagnosis, symptoms have intensified into full-blown paranoia. I'm not quite there yet. Visual hallucinations, no hallucinations yet, so dealing with my anxiety better than patient 0130. Recommendations, increased medication. Mine actually had to be decreased because I was having a bad reaction to it. Can't be left alone, move to L1 for closer monitoring. So these are notes somewhat similar to what was in the original Silent Hill 2, but they've been very much rewritten, and they've removed the patient names to, I think, add a bit more ambiguity to this whole scenario. Because in the original Silent Hill 2, you actually get names for each of these patients, and they all do have symptoms paralleling that are parallels to James, Angela, and Eddie, the way that they're described. Again, I feel like it's not meant to be taken literally as an indication of these characters being patients themselves, but that was sort of a theory at the time, that Angela and Eddie are just sort of aspects of James's psyche. They're aspects of his character, which has been very clearly and bluntly debunked by original developers, by the way. People like Masahiro Ito have gone on record saying that James, Eddie, Angela, Laura are all intended to be real people. They are not aspects of James's subconscious. They are not manifestations. They are not representations of James's psyche or anything like that. They're meant to be real people having their own experiences in the town. Maria is the only one who is a manifestation, but because you have this character like Maria, it led to a lot of fans kind of over-theorizing about the other characters, which is a common thing in this fandom. I'm guilty of it as well. Over-theorizing is sort of what we do, but it's important as a fan of this series to sort of learn how to distinguish between things that are meant to be taken at more of a literal or face value kind of way, and things that are meant to be more symbolic, metaphorical, or there for the benefit of the player rather than something sort of in the game lore for that purpose. Patient number 0090, designation 298.0, room number D1. Initial symptoms, sensory delusions. Current diagnosis, insomnia. Refuses food and water. Delusions persist. Recommendations, forced feeding and hydration. Bathing required, to be carried out in the treatment room. Sleep medication, constant surveillance. This also gives us some clues once we start going to these rooms and solving the puzzles, because this game, the remake, sort of uses things from each of these patients, or relevant to each of these patients, when it comes to solving one of the puzzles later on. So again, a lot of this is there not to be meant literally, but as a clue for the player to solve things later. Patient number 0050, designation 301.3, patient room number C1. Initial symptoms, sudden outbursts of aggression, visual and auditory hallucinations. Current diagnosis, current therapy is considered effective. Scratched out. Unprovoked outbursts declined. Scratched out. Social interactions improved. Scratched out. All these things that initially were better, and then doctor changed their mind. That was not the case. With "what did I miss" written on there. Recommendations: continue with current therapy. Water has a calming effect. Not anymore. It used to. Also, we've got a stopwatch. It's got a train on it. Stopped at 10 past 9 and 15 seconds, just like nearly every other clock and timepiece in the game. Reference to the original Silent Hill 2 clock puzzle in Woodside Apartments. Creepy, melted, smudged paintings of, or photos of what I would assume is the Brookhaven Hospital director. Albert Smith. We even have different names on each of these certificates. Anthony Johnson, Albert Smith. Nolan Eigenberg. Possibly different directors over the course of time, over Brookhaven's very long history in the town. Many different directors. Here we go. Familiar painting. And I think we wind up seeing this one in a few different places in throughout the remake. So this one is a real painting called Isle of the Dead. Let's see, Isle of the Dead. No, not the film. Not the Boris Karloff film. Give me 1 second. Arnold Boklin. Is the painter of Isle of the Dead. Here. See the original for comparison's sake. Practically unmodified for Silent Hill 2 Remake. And yeah, of course, already Diablo Lord in chat. First thing, Signalis. So the painting existed long before Signalis. I have yet to play Signalis, so I'm unaware of the significance of the painting in that game's context. But every time this painting comes up, people talk about Signalis. So obviously Signalis like popularized it. But yeah, actual historical painting, and Signalis very heavily inspired by Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill in general, but specifically Silent Hill 2. So you've got a painting that was popularized by a game that was inspired by Silent Hill 2, and then Bloober Team, I think, acknowledging that game through this painting for its, connection and influence. Oh, I know. Everybody tells me I need to get around to it. Eventually, I plan on it. I originally was going to do it months ago, but, health problems. I've only got so much time and energy to stream anything, so I'm putting all that towards what you're seeing now, rather than Signalis. So eventually I'll get around to it, but probably not anytime soon. We still have like weeks worth of cam hack to get to. Maybe after that. Oh, you can see the head like pulsing. Not too many situations where we get these animations without her just, the enemies just running up and attacking and stuff like that. Again, excellent detail on the creature models and just all the animations and everything. Get a little bit closer, see how the lighting affects it. Oh. Now she's gonna be aggressive. Do you have any of the nurse waifu statues? No. I've got a nurse D&D miniature that was gifted to me by my friend Jed Ashtelin. And I've got a couple of Pyramid Head statues. But no nurses. Clothing and stuff. Wheelchair inside the bathroom stall. Again, just sort of disturbing imagery. Gotta check all the mirrors. Check all the toilets. Hey, Pythonicus. Hope you're doing well, man. Linen room with the typewriter. We've been through there. Top load washer instructions. We saw this in the Woodside Apartments. Laundromat rules. No running or playing around the machines. No dripping or dragging wet clothes. No tampering with the machines or coin changer. No standing on machines. Do not overload the machines. Exact change only. No dyeing or tinting clothes. No metal clothing or objects. Please check pockets before washing. Crime alert. Notification. Residential break-in enters. Rest of it is too smudged to read. People have been breaking into patients' rooms, stealing belongings. If there's a fire in your apartment, fire safety stuff that we've seen in Woodside. No metal clothing. Yeah, no chainmail washing, exactly. A lot of LARPers at Brookhaven messing up the washing machines. Saw this painting in another room, sort of like trees and snow. I love the ambient sound music for this part of Brookhaven, which is same as the original. Sounds like a breathing machine. Oh, this is that very sketchy, the one that I said looked like just a bunch of hatching and cross-hatching. But now we've actually got a figure of a person as part of it. Do a quick search on this, see if I can find sad forebodings, disasters. It's another Francisco Goya. The Disasters of War, a series of etchings by Francisco Goya, 1746. Disasters of War. Hey Sam Tales, oh neat, an actual art piece. Pretty much everything that we find in the environments, the paintings are practically all actual historical pieces of artwork, usually thematic to the game or the characters or the location. The same thing for the photographs. A lot of the photographs of like creepy old medical stuff in hospital rooms and things like that are public domain photos from like the 1910s from the Library of Congress, things like that. Any Bosch pieces? I'm trying to think if we did come across any Hieronymus Bosch up till this point. We've seen a lot of Francisco Goya. We've seen Peter... Was it Burke? The Polish artist. We've seen a lot. There's a lot in these environments. This is also like I've mentioned in some previous parts of this playthrough, kind of par for the course for Bloober Team. They also made the Layers of Fear games. The first Layers of Fear revolved heavily around a painter and historical paintings that have been like edited to look creepy or are just kind of creepy in their own right are used very thoroughly throughout Layers of Fear. So this is something that Bloober Team has done with their previous games as well. Not unique to Silent Hill 2 Remake, but it's interesting still to see all of that and find these recognizable paintings and photos and things. Torn up clothing. Some of the plugs and stuff on the wall for like oxygen hoses. Medical equipment attachments are starting to fall off. Clothes and bed sheets. Different models of TVs in different rooms as well. You never go in this room? Yeah, you never normally come back here, but these rooms are still rendered. That's sort of different. We've seen lots of situations where unused rooms, or rather, there aren't really unused rooms like this. Typically, if I clip behind a door that's to a room or an area that you don't access ever, there's just nothing rendered. It's like this. You go outside and there's just void. Interesting that these rooms are actually rendered in and have some details in them. Even though you never have access to them. Have you played the medium? I did. I played all of Bloober Team's games. Rather than say mean things about a game that you clearly like, I will just say Silent Hill 2 Remake is the first Bloober Team game that I've enjoyed. And we'll leave it at that. But I did not like the medium. Or Layers of Fear, or Layers of Fear 2, or Blair Witch, or any of them. They did a pretty damn good job with this game, though. Loved the art of the medium more than the story. The ending felt unfinished. So with Bloober's original games, I will say, just in the efforts to say more positive things, Bloober has always been very good at their artwork and their assets. Their character models, their environments, have always been really well done and very detailed. They're great at doing visuals. When they're writing their own stories and characters, I feel like their writing and characters are very weak. They're not very well written. They're very tropey and sometimes downright kind of offensive, the way that they portray certain aspects of things, especially in the medium. But with this game, they aren't writing an original story. They're just remaking, sort of reinterpreting a story that already existed, characters that already existed. So they had a much stronger take on those aspects for this game, and then just sort of applied their knack for really good visuals on top of that, which is like perfect for doing a remake. We've got a recreation of Joseph Barkin's room from the original Silent Hill 2. So one of the patients in the OG Silent Hill 2 had a box here locked up with 4 different locks. You needed 2 keys and 2 different codes, numerical codes, to open up a box in order to get a strand of hair that was needed for a puzzle. So now we have this room, Joseph Barkin's room, recreated for the remake. Luis, I'll wait for you forever. Joseph Barkin was the parallel to James in terms of symptoms, why he was in Brookhaven. He felt guilt over the death of his daughter and basically obsessed over her, keeping her hair in a very tightly locked box. But that was Louise Barkin, Joseph Barkin's daughter, that he was referring to in his bloody scrawls in his hospital room. And there we get the little flashback moment. Was he in the original? I don't recall that name. Joseph Barkin is only in the original. The patients in the remake are left unnamed. But all three patients in the original are named in notes and files that you find throughout the hospital. It's great seeing the ropes and chains, things that were originally holding the box closed, long since rusted as well. Electrocardiogram requests, forms, medication status and history, notes for nurses, some more things that we've already seen in other environments. Same posters. Patient's room, which we'll go into a bit later. Peace and happiness poster we've seen before. Attention employees. Section to notification of disease. Notice shall be sent. The total health director immediately by the messenger or by the something if he or any other employee contracts any infections, contagious or something disease, or has a fever, a skin eruption, a cough lasting more than 3 weeks, or any other suspicious symptoms, it shall be the duty of any such employee to notify the manager immediately when any of said conditions obtain, and something either the manager nor the employee, something the local health director immediately have violated this section. Something containing this section shall be posted in all ballot rooms used by employees or dressing rooms or kitchens. By order of the State Board of Health. Yeah, interesting. Fever, skin eruption, cough, lasting more than 3 weeks. Yeah, Mary's symptoms. Fact that that is part of that notice. Really interesting. New way in medicine. Cool, they actually type small text rather than lorem ipsum. We've seen lorem ipsum in a lot of the small text. Like literally lorem ipsum. So it's not for everything. Not every asset, not every detail is legible or intentional. We've seen some lorem ipsum on things, but that's why we're taking our time and looking at everything, because some stuff is kind of generic in terms of assets. Some things are very deliberate and intentional. Some things are straight up Easter eggs that the developers put there for fans to find. So that's kind of the point of this playthrough. Looking at all these details and trying to see what we can find. Editing all this into a highlights video would be awesome, but will take a long time. That's kind of my plan once we finish the whole playthrough. I'm going to go back through and highlight all the most interesting stuff that we found and put together a video of just all of that stuff. It will take quite a long time, though, so don't expect it anytime soon. We're still a few weeks away from finishing the playthrough in general, and then, yeah. We saw this poster in Heaven's Night, hidden up near the ceiling, like stuck on part of the bar. Get a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life, but job you love is crossed out, scribbled over, and they wrote in at Brookhaven. Get a job at Brookhaven and you will never have to work a day in your life. Funny that we would find that in Heaven's Night before here. There's another bear. So we have the bear with the bent needle. There's another one in the drawer. A drawer that we can't even open. Just hidden away in there. That's kind of neat. Patient's well-being is in your hands. Again, stuff that's thematically appropriate towards James, Mary's illness, the fact that James feels like, you know, Mary's doctors failed because they couldn't save her, couldn't heal her. See. Oh, James does the fancy finger. Normally we only see him hit this pose when he picks up a key, but there are a few items that he does that for, including the bent needle. Just a little tip of a syringe. Concerning that was in a stuffed bear. Even more concerning, considering the bears are something that Laura seems to be going around playing with. Alright, so we actually do have an Easter egg here on the shotgun, by the way. I've talked about this in some previous story playthroughs and stuff. E.H. Marlin is what's written on the side of the shotgun. So, Marlin is a reference to a book called The Old Man and the Sea, which was written by Ernest Hemingway. E.H. Ernest Hemingway committed suicide with a shotgun. Do you get it? Honestly, I feel like that reference is a little bit in poor taste. I mean, like, I get the reference, but yeah. There it is. The E.H. Marlin shotgun. Lakeside Amusement Park. Advertisement inside the locker here. With, of course, Robbie the Rabbit. One of the 4 Lakeside Amusement Park mascots. Great family fun at the best amusement park in Maine. I think we saw the same poster in Happy Burger already. Oh, and one of the perfume bottles that we saw in the back room of Heaven's Night that has this like Victorian era woman on it. The Oath of Hippocrates. The Hippocratic Oath. Swear to fulfill to the best of my ability and judgment this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk. It is just the full Hippocratic Oath. Appropriate for doctors and nurses. Interesting image. Definitely a render of some sort. But I wonder what that might be referring to. Do a quick reverse image search on this and see if anything comes up, if it's actually like a painting or something else, but no. 2 identical looking people, or a woman looking at her reflection. Yeah, possibly a reference to Mary and Maria. Possibly a reference to Angela looking at her reflection when we see her in Woodside. An interesting visual. And now we have shotgun. The E.H. Marlin shotgun. Deflated basketball. And cat photos. Definitely just developers sneaking in photos of their pets. We've seen some of these in other places. Minmo, we have not actually seen a direct Minmo reference, but plenty of cat photos. Like I said, most likely just one of the developers' pets, or several pets from several developers, most likely. See if we've got anything else interesting in these lockers. A bit of clothing, lump of fabric. Oh, it's the trash bag. Sitting there, clipping into the locker. Pairs of boots, pairs of shoes, some more clothing and stuff just kind of hanging in. It's actually like a backpack. There's like a bag in here. More of like a leather satchel type backpack. This stuff that's like fully rendered, you can barely even see inside these lockers. Some bullets in there. Oh, what do we have? May 6th through 12th, National Nurses Week. And another one of the photos of a nurse that we saw on the walls earlier. You normally look into details on games. You seem really knowledgeable, which is cool. Mainly the Silent Hill series. I've been doing stuff like this, super in-depth story playthroughs, cam hack playthroughs, speed runs, challenge runs, just about anything you can think of for every single entry in the Silent Hill franchise. And I've been doing that on Twitch for over 10 years now, so that's definitely my main focus. So if you're enjoying the stream, if you like the informative, detail-oriented type of stuff around Silent Hill, Definitely check out my YouTube. Some of the VODs on Twitch. I've got 2 channels on YouTube, one for like my main channel, which is more edited, curated Silent Hill content, and then an archive channel that's got the majority of my streams from over the last decade. But yeah, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the community. I'm glad you're enjoying it. First, we got our first aid kit here. We've got our Jack poster. This was a background asset in the original Silent Hill 2, which is found in the same room, like where you pick up the shotgun and get the bent needle. So very cool of Bloober to like recreate some of these original assets and use them in the environments. Hippocratic Oath, Lakeside poster, Nurses Week, medical forums, Brookhaven Hospital, Silent Hill Medical Institute program schedule. This one's different. Specialist available, anesthesia, Dr. Gitko, Dr. Sharmak, Dr. Khan, Dr. Bonsai, Dr. Hurt. Hope I don't get Dr. Hurt. Dr. Richardson. Dr. Mick Maroon. Dr. Klein. Dr. Isaac. Dr. Garrel. Dr. Ask Me. Dr. Garrel. Dr. Ask Me. Dr. Newton. Dr. Kowalski. Dr. Nabiku. Dr. Friday. Dr. Torres. Dr. Hole. Dr. Nimendrup, Dr. Buchanan, Dr. Kumar, Dr. Hoy, Dr. Right Hand, Dr. Gupta, Dr. Leo, Dr. Larson, Dr. Stevens. Your gynecologist is Dr. Right Hand. General Physician, Dr. Rippent, Dr. Geraldo, Dr. Sonofelf, Dr. Mindup, Radiation, Dr. Anwer, Dr. Gimli, like Lord of the Rings, Dr. Sonda, Dr. Anwer, Dr. Richardson, Dr. Calamari, my radiation specialist, microbiology, Dr. Aria, Dr. Hufflepuff, Dr. Hufflepuff, straight out of Harry Potter, doing microbiology. These are all just little references. Dr. Riccar, Dr. Colton, Dr. Aragorn, Dr. Venkenstein. It's Vankenstein. Dr. Pan, Dr. Kelso, Dr. Spectrum, Dr. Colson, Dr. Kellen, doing neurology. Dr. Spectrum does neurology. Oncology, Dr. Kiernis, Dr. Sersky, Dr. Cotton, Dr. Revendell. So we've got Revendell, Gimli, Aragorn, Hufflepuff. It's just... it's all Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and Dr. Dummy in podiatry, Dr. Naresh, Dr. Torres, Dr. Fang, Dr. Cortez. Same thing, same doctors for pathology, psychology, Dr. Fjord, Dr. Jan, Dr. No More, Dr. Lecter, Dr. Lecter. We've got presumably Hannibal Lecter doing psychology at Brookhaven. Dr. Ibuki. Dr. Corona doing radiology. Dr. Kim Skolvey. Dr. Etker. Dr. Vikol. And urology. Dr. Bernard. Dr. Klein. Dr. Aziz. Aziz Light. Dr. Wenzel. So many little references. Star Trek. Just puns. Like hurt. And right hand. Lord of the Rings, we've got Gimli and Aragorn and Rivendell. Vankenstein, Hufflepuff. So goofy. Well, there's all your Brookhaven specialists. Kelso's got to be a Scrubs reference? Yeah, Dr. Kelso. Which is funny because that actually ties back in to Silent Hill as well. For those who don't know the development history behind Silent Hill Origins. Silent Hill Origins had to be completely remade. So like the Origins that we got is not the first Silent Hill Origins that was being developed. There was an entirely different Silent Hill Origins that was being made by the studio Climax in the US, and it was so bad it got scrapped, and they sent the project to the Climax branch in UK to remake Origins from the ground up, basically. That first version of Origins, according to Sam Barlow, who directed the final version of Origins, Sam Barlow said that first version of Origins was a dark comedy that was based on the TV show Scrubs. So that reference kind of goes a little deeper than you might realize. And it's something that I'm sure Bloober Team is aware of, considering all the other little references and details and history into the series, not just Silent Hill 2, but fan theories and the rest of the games. That's great. So many good references there. This is exactly it, yeah. Temporal fry, how you said this is what the cam hack was for. This is exactly the type of stuff that I'm hoping to find. This is like the whole purpose of this playthrough, is finding this kind of stuff. Too good. Have you seen Dr. Aragorn? What about Dr. Gimli? Oh, she's still kicking. Do you like any other horror games? Silent Hill, Fatal Frame, Parasite Eve, World of Horror are my favorites. Absolutely. I am a huge, huge horror fan just in general. Like, Silent Hill is my main obsession when it comes to horror games. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Fatal Frame, Resident Evil, Parasite Eve, just like you mentioned. Siren, if you've ever played Siren or Blood Curse, which were made by Keiichiro Toyama, who also directed Silent Hill 1. I'm a big fan of a lot of older, like, PC horror. The old point-and-click stuff like Harvester and Phantasmagoria. Oh, another nurse hiding in there. But yeah. Huge, huge horror fan in general. One. I also don't play it very much anymore, but I used to play a lot of Dead by Daylight. I've got a gross amount of hours in that game. Several thousands. Phasmophobia. Got a lot of time in that game as well. But yeah, horror in general is kind of my jam. Nothing that I obsess over quite the way I do with Silent Hill, though. These games are very unique when it comes to the genre. That is a dead bird painting. Let's see if we can find the source of this real quick. Plucked Turkey by Francisco Goya. More Francisco Goya artwork. Also, here is a really good Easter egg. Really well hidden Easter egg. So if we go over to our audio, let's turn down the music and leave just the ambient and effect stuff going. So you hear that clicking sound coming from the TV. In fact, let's also, because I can still hear the ambient sort of wind blowing, we'll turn that down so we can just hear the TV sound effect. Oh, that's part of the ambient track. Okay. I figured that would be part of the effects volume. So those clicks that you're hearing on these TVs that you find throughout Brookhaven are Morse code. You have shorts and longs depending on your dots and dashes, depending on how much space is in between each click. And it's actually spelling out in Morse code the words again and. and it's just repeating. Let me do a little text visualization here for you. This is the Morse code message that you're hearing. Let me turn up the game audio for you as well. Is that implying he's in a loop? So that is the fan theory, and Bloober Team has been like asked about it directly and did not answer. They sort of left it ambiguous. A fan on Twitter was like, "Oh, great, loop theory is canon," and the director Matthias Lenart actually responded with the words, "Is it?" and a question mark. So here's the thing. Some fans take that to be confirmation for the loop theory, and the loop theory goes all the way back as a fan theory originating from Silent Hill 2. The OG Silent Hill 2 had loop theory. Now, let me find the interview. I'll put a link to this in chat. Kind of a bulky link, but there you go. But what it says in that interview here. So to quote the Bloober Team developers, "I can't tell you how many hours we spent watching, reading, discussing all the elements that we can find on the internet. Our main goal has always been to respect the fans and never ever disregard any of their theories. I don't like everything that I found there, to be honest, but when we started analyzing them and finding all the cons and pros behind them, I started to love the way that people were thinking about the Labyrinth or the game in general, and wanted to incorporate as many things as I can in it." So there are references to many fan theories, even ones that the developers themselves don't agree with, but they wanted to respect all of the fan theories that they came across and include references to all of them. I'll be sure to put that link in the YouTube description as well for anybody watching this in the future. Another clock, 10 past 9 and 15 seconds. Same as most of the clocks in the game. Reference to the solution to the grandfather clock puzzle in the original Silent Hill 2. Vintage photos we've seen in many other locations. The apartments, Saul Street Apartments, Blue Creek Apartments. Several places around town we've seen these now. Same medical forms we've seen around. Patient scheduling. 1985 antenna. Same radio we've seen in a few places. Radiology books, a lot of the same book assets we've seen already. I still try to look at everything just in case they sneak something new into these assets. The Auld Lang Syne reference. We saw this in Heaven's Night. The Nalo Pedoyo coffee maker. A spilled cup of coffee that is like permanently stained. Strawberry, the strawberry soda, finding sodas. Evaporated fresh milk. GS. Wonder why the plates are initialed GS. Seen a lot of other dishes and things, other assets in the environments. Nothing like that, though. Got some jars. We have to check for light bulbs. Pickled ginger, pickled beets, peppers. More Auld Lang Syne boxes. Creepy photo of a nurse, actual historical photo. There's another message played on some TVs as well. Don't remember which ones. Yeah, Rainish. Let me see if I can find that real quick in my notes. So the TVs that are in Brookhaven all are the same. They say again and again and again, over and over. The other TV, I forgot to talk about the Morse code message while we were there, but it was in the Woodside Apartments. One of the TVs has similar clicking on it, And the message on that one is, "Why did you do it, James?" We must have been looking at a lot of other stuff and discussing it in that room, and it just slipped my mind to talk about the Morse code. It happens. I try my best to be thorough with these things, but sometimes I forget to mention some of these bits of trivia. Rumpler International. Loading instructions. Medical dictionaries, same books and assets we've seen around in several other locations, just trying to see in case anything new or different is hidden around here. Another Eggy computer. Seen several of those. More vintage public domain photos where they've just edited out people's faces. I just love how detailed these assets are. And it is so cool. Very satisfying for those moments where we do find particular Easter eggs. The specialist doctors' names, that is definitely my favorite thing that we found this session. But I'm also at a point where I really need to call it. Need to go fix something for dinner and take my own medication. Speaking of hospitals and specialists, I've got my own medicines I need to take, dealing with some health issues myself, so this is where we're gonna have to call it tonight.